Welcome to Crocs in the Kitchen. I'm Jess.
I'm Tess.
And this is Elsie. Yay! Major applause. Good job, Elsie. All right.
Elsie.
Daddy's going to take Elsie away. Bye-bye, Elsie. We love you. Mwah,
Mwah.
mwah. Oh, she blew a kiss at us. As you can see, we are still in Columbus, Ohio, and we are in the kitchen of the one and only Tess. Tess is my cousin. She's my best friend. She's kind of like everything to me. I mean, I guess Brian is like also, everything to me, and Elsie. She's like right up there.
We share 11% DNA.
We do. We do share 11% DNA. So if you guys are new to the channel or haven't seen us before, this is my husband and I's channel. And in 2022, I was diagnosed with stage 3 ovarian cancer. And I had to act quickly if we wanted to, preserve some eggs and all that stuff before I started treatment. We were able to do 2 rounds of egg retrieval, right before I started the chemo. And from those 2 rounds, the first round we got 1 viable embryo, and that viable embryo is now Elsie. She's now 15 months old and running around. And we got, from the second round of egg retrieval, we got 2 viable embryos. So Tess called me up one day and was like, right after I had been diagnosed, and was like, hey, if you need someone to carry one of your kids one day, I would love to do it. We kind of started a pretty aggressive plan and put it in place. And by the time I was finished with chemo and I had a full hysterectomy after I did my chemo and really major surgery. 2 weeks after that, we were transplanting that embryo, and then everything, went pretty well.
Yeah.
Until the very end of the pregnancy. So as you guys may know, and there's other videos that I'll link to that we talked about a lot of like what Tess went through and all that, but Tess did experience a postpartum hemorrhage right after she gave birth, and it added a little bit of complication to the thing. She kind of like almost died. I mean, not almost died. She could have died. It's a very serious thing.
If I wasn't at the hospital had, medical intervention.
It's a very, very, very serious thing that happened to her. And so originally we had kind of planned like, we meaning Tess. It's all on her timeline. I'm just, sitting along for the ride. Like, whenever you want to make these babies happen, like, I got them ready on ice.
And I'm like, let's do it.
She had already decided the time. What was the original timeline? It was like you were gonna, I don't know,
August of this last year.
Yeah,
I think,
which we're not even sure that was like less than a year from her delivery. I mean,
well, we could have started the process.
We were gonna make it happen. So, but when everything happened, obviously, with the delivery and it being not the smooth sailing we were hoping for, we kind of all took a step back. Like, Tess and her husband Jeff and me and Brian, we were all just like, okay, nope, she's not doing that again. Then what happened?
Then I was like, well, let's talk to a doctor and kind of ask all the questions we have and see what my actual increased risks of different things would be, because I really wanted to do it again for you. And there's something so special about us already being so close and being able to do this together, and the special relationship I get to have with Elsie and maybe future children. So I wanted to explore and see kind of what the actual increased risks would be, so that we were informed, and then we kind of could make decisions moving forward with all of the information.
Yeah. So not just a total, like, obviously right afterward, it was just like, we were all like, nope.
It was not on our mind at that point.
We were all focused on your recovery.
Yeah.
And like your body actually did recover really well.
Yes.
Rebounded back. You did have to have was it a D&E?
D&E, yeah.
A few weeks, was that like a week or
2 weeks?
2 weeks after giving birth, and some of the placenta was still in there. And so, it was just, it was a more rough recovery than we had hoped for you.
Mm-hmm.
But the baby snuggles helped, right?
Baby snuggles helped a lot.
A lot. They went a long way.
It's kind of like, it kind of feels like being a grandparent. Because it's like, you know, I get to spoil her, I get to love on her, and then I get to go sleep and not have to take care of her in the middle of the night, or change all of her diapers, or, you know, that sort of thing. So, so yeah, it's been such a joy to have that kind of relationship. Being able to do this for you has been like an honor that I feel like I haven't, like I wouldn't, I almost can't get in any other way.
Yeah. So with the idea of a second one being taken off the table after you'd healed and recovered and everything, it kind of was just like, okay, well, let's really explore this, because I think for you definitely needed to know, like, is it really a no, or you know, is
whether I did it or not, I wanted to kind of further explore it, because otherwise I would have sort of always had the question.
Yeah, so we started about, like, I don't know, several months ago now with the process of trying to figure out, you know, if we're going to be able to do a round 2 with Tess, with one of our 2 remaining embryos. If Elsie's the only child that we are able to have as our own, you know, child, like, that's amazing. Like, she's a delight. She's everything and more. But I would love to be able to give her a sibling, and given that we have the other 2 embryos, we've kind of decided, like, come hell or high water, we're gonna figure out a way to do it, whether it be with Tess or if we have to look at other options for another gestational carrier, which we have actually looked into, and we were actually really close to kind of pulling the trigger on going that route. And Tess kind of like,
I was like, maybe let's explore a little bit more.
Yeah, so Tess has very much been like leading the charge, I like to say.
I'm not being forced to do this.
Not being forced to do this, but
and there are mental health evaluations and clearances that sort of make sure that we're both in the right place and doing this for the right reasons to do this.
If you've ever been involved in anything with fertility, any kind of surrogacy, any of this kind of stuff, IVF, like, there's so many, like, processes and forms and steps, and you have, you know, it's this test and that test, and it's just a lot that piles up when you're trying, and it's already a very stressful thing. Yeah. So we've been trying to just get through that and get to the point, like, Tess is like, I just want that embryo, like, and, like, transfer that embryo into me already. And so we've been trying to get to that point, and we felt like we were so close. Actually, tomorrow would have been when we're filming this, tomorrow would have been the day that we would have been getting, like, all the medical clearance back, we were hoping, and then moving on to just the legal phase, and then it's embryo transfer.
And then, starting my meds.
But what happened?
When we finally got to schedule the medical testing, I was like, give me first available. And so I was like 2 days through that. And
she called me on a Tuesday, and we were driving home from Rochester from my scans, and it was Tuesday. And she's like, hey, so I'm flying to St. Louis on Thursday. I'm like, wait, what?
So my husband and I booked a flight to fly out in the morning and then fly back in the evening, so then we could be here with our kids in the evening.
And that was for
the blood work, and then to have a saline ultrasound.
Yes, which it described them as saline ultrasound.
I made Jessica come in and do this with me. Yeah, not do it.
I didn't have to
be there.
Yeah.
I was like, I wanted you to know what I'm doing for you.
Her husband was back there when they did, like, you know, they were doing the blood work and all that stuff, and then he came out to the lobby, and he's like, Tess wants you to come back there. They're about to do the ultrasound. And I'm like, okay. So I come back there, and she's like, you need to see what I'm going through. They put, like, I don't even know what I don't even understand.
Saline. So it's like a water solution, I think.
It was cold, I know that.
And so they pumped that into my pump. I mean, it's like a small catheter. They
put like a gallon in there.
And then they could see on the ultrasound that the saline solution was not going into all the areas that they had expected it to go in.
Yeah, like in her uterus.
Yeah, and this is when I was glad that Jessica was back there with me, because then we could both talk to the doctor about it.
Yeah. And we could tell there was something not quite right, because like they kept saying like the balloon that they put a balloon in there too, like the balloon was like being like pushed back out. It was like something didn't seem right.
Yeah.
And so ultimately they told us that they thought because of the D&E she had and they always it's literally, the word is scrape, because they scrape that stuff out, like they scrape the placenta out of there, which just sounds awful. I'm sorry.
I love you.
And so they said that there was like,
they were like, it's totally normal to have scar tissue from that procedure.
Yeah, so that's what they thought it was. They're like, okay, it's probably just scar tissue from that. And the way they made it sound, it was like, okay, we go in, snip, and then we're all good, and then we're ready to put a baby in there.
So my husband flew back, and I stayed in St. Louis, and we scheduled the procedure for the next day.
They did the procedure, and so the doctor who has been the fertility doctor that we've been working with this entire time, so she like knows our entire story, my entire story, everything. She's been kind of with us from day one of the fertility stuff. Came to the lobby and said, she just kind of like sat down, and she's just kind of like, she's like, it's not great. And I was like, oh, okay. And it made me really like, so she told me basically that there was just a lot more scar tissue in there than they expected to find. What she saw in there in the uterus, like with the scar tissue, like that's somebody who needs a gestational carrier might look the way that they saw Tess looking. So like her being a gestational carrier is like not necessarily gonna happen. I know that Brian and I will find a way, but I know how much this has meant to her, and I know how much like it would mean to me to be able to do it with her. So then they let me in the room. Tess likes to tell this part.
So I wake up from my anesthesia, and Jessica's in the room with me, and she goes, "Have they talked to you yet?" And I said, "No." And then she starts crying, and she says, "It's not good news." And I'm like, in my head, I'm dying.
No. I was crying. I'm a very emotional person.
It's okay. I
love you. It just like kind of broke my heart a little bit, because we were like we were both like so
and we had a plan to like have it happen in like 2 weeks. Like,
we were like ready to get this show on the road, and it feels like we've been through so much together just to try to get to this point in the the second baby. To kind of get to this point and like just have the brakes totally put on was just like, okay, yeah. So the doctor came and talked to both of us, and when I had talked to her too, she's like, well, let's not call it a no today. Like there's still more that we can look at. There's still, it's not totally a no. It's not looking great, but it's not a no. So the last kind of thing that she would try is basically she kind of wants like Tess's uterus to like shed the lining, see if, so they were able to remove the scar tissue that was in there. And they just said it was just a lot of scar tissue just left from that D&E and the placenta and all that. But they were able to like, so they want the lining to shed. They want to see if the scar tissue comes back. They wanted to have
some hormones.
Yeah, start taking some hormones for the next few weeks. And then she's supposed to come back 4 weeks from when she started the hormones. So that will be like February 10th, I think, is when we're supposed to go back and do another ultrasound and just look at everything like, okay, did the scar tissue come back? Does it look any better with the hormones, with the, the lining being shed, like all that kind of stuff? Does this look like it's something that we could do? And we both agreed that seemed
Yeah.
reasonable and would be kind of like
we definitely wanted to do what we could do.
The final
so that,
closure.
Right, yeah.
Either closure or maybe it'll be good news.
Yeah.
We don't know.
Hopefully.
We don't know. We're just kind of like in this
taking
limbo.
it as it goes now.
We're just in this limbo now and not really knowing. We'll keep you guys updated after we get the next step. Obviously, it's going to be the ultrasound, but then a lot of conversation will follow that. And yeah, we'll just kind of take it from there. Anything else you want to say in this video?
No, we're just taking them along for the ride with us.
So yeah, so stay tuned. We'll let you know what happens.
I like to think that maybe Elsie ruined my uterus on the way out because she doesn't want to have a sibling.
She's like, no, I'm an only child. Anyway, I think that's all we have for this particular video. I'm gonna try to do Brian's closing thing.
Okay.
It's like subscribe if you want to see more of us. You can like the video. Woo, give it a thumbs up for Tess's uterus. Comment, ask us questions that I don't know. Tell us we're crazy, like whatever you want to comment, that's fine. You can follow us on Facebook and Instagram and all that good stuff. But I think that's all I got.
That's definitely all I got.
That was good.
Yeah, thank you.
We'll see you next time on Crocs in the Kitchen. Bye.